is Mark, and I just want to do a quick little video here on something, and it's basically on this Corona, COVID-19, call it whatever you want, the cat's ass, a baked potato, whatever. Anyhow, there seems to be a lot of fear being perpetuated on this stuff, and I just want to say this. I'm no expert in nothing, so don't even take what I say at face value. I'm just a vehicle to present stuff to you, okay? You savvy? So I'm no medical doctor here. My field's in electricity, and I mean you are electricity, so nonetheless, we're going to cut straight to the chase here. And basically a friend was asking me, saying, hey man, can you post a video? Like, I just want to hear your take on this nonsense. So I'm going to give you the take. Basically, I'm just going to pull this up here. This was some stuff that I copied and pasted, and so I wrote a few things, and then we'll get into the gist of it. But I wrote, these storytellers are good. So share the snot out of this post. It's all a fiction, people, a figment of imagination, okay? It's all magic, magi, yeah, right? So it's all a figment of imagination, right? So the odds of that, go figure. So anyhow, so spread this with everybody before Wikipedia takes this down. So question everything, people. This is what this video is about. I want you people to think for yourselves. You question things, and I'm tired of, well, you're a conspiracy theorist. People, I'm not even a citizen. I don't have a flag. I don't fly flags. And who flies flags? Pirates. That's why it's called cons, piracy. They're at sea, okay? So the sea's of commerce. So anyhow, so question everything, and basically peace, and know that I love you all. So I went to the Wikipedia site and I googled Saint Corona. Okay, so there's a few things here we're just going to skim through, so don't mind me. This will take a couple of minutes. So basically, this is an excerpt that I'd literally taken off of Wikipedia, and you can Google it, Saint Corona. So don't take anything that I'm saying at face value here. But I just want to show you the correlation of bullshit, because everything these people come at you with, you take the F out of fear and you have ear. So it's fear-based. It's ear-based, right? So that's what it is. So stop watching your tell-lie visions, right? You know, let those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, okay? So they're talking about her brother here. Okay, and this is straight off Wikipedia. Now, obviously, it's a parable, parable, you able to talk at par, right? You know, so anyhow, it says, while he was suffering from these tortures, and you can go to the full thing, I just took a couple of excerpts and copied and pasted them. So, this is St. Corona's brother, and basically she died a martyr, by the way. But anyhow, you know, truth, fiction, whatever, right? Was I there at the time? I really couldn't tell you. So do I believe in this stuff? Take the V and E out, you have be lies. And a belief, you take the F out, and you have be lies. So you're be lying in something that you don't know whether is fact or fiction. So basically this is about her, I believe her 16-year-old brother, and he was on his deathbed. So while he was suffering from these tortures, the 16-year-old spouse of one of his brothers in arms named Corona comforted and encouraged him. For this she was arrested and interrogated. So how dare you speak the truth, okay? They call it freedom of speech. That's only because they haven't found a way to tax your freedom of speech yet, right? So anyhow, so while he was suffering from these tortures, the 16-year-old spouse of one of his brothers in arms, named Corona, comforted and encouraged him. For this she was arrested and interrogated. Sounds exactly like what's going on now. Nothing has changed. According to the Passio of Corona, which is considered largely fictional, Corona was bound to 2 bent palm trees and torn apart as the trunks were released. Sound all too common. So anyhow, Corona is especially venerated in Austria and Eastern Bavaria. So I wrote keywords. So she is invoked. Again, this is Wikipedia, so I just put keywords, but now it's back to Wikipedia. She is invoked in connection with superstitions involving money, such as gambling or treasure hunting. So these people telling you all these stories and all this fear-based nonsense, they're looking for your treasure. They want your money. They're energy vampires, okay? They use your energy while you're out making money. They use your energy to, you know, to make their money, right? So they're energy vampires. So everybody's killing themselves at work, and you take the K out of work and you have war. It's just not spelled with an A. Watch out for their little spellings. You know, you take the SK out of skill and you have ill. You take the S out of skill and you have kill. So you got the skills to pay the bills or the kills to pay the bills, B-ills, right? Who dropped this off to? A mailman. Take the M out of mailman, you have ailmen. Add a T, you have ailment. So you now have an ailment because you can't afford to pay your B-ills. Meanwhile, people are running around hoarding all this cash, and they're B-illionaires, millionaires. Everything's a fiction, people. It's in the air. It's bullshit. You can't eat your gold. Okay, people? So let's, you know. So anyhow, she is invoked in connection with superstitions involving money, such as gambling or treasure hunting. So I put, these are my words, they want your money, people, and your life's energy, all while using fear to get it. So I put, oh my, what a coincidence. And you look at coincidence, and the first, you know, basically 5 letters are coin. Okay, so it's all about your money. That's what they have a census, census. So she is invoked in connection with superstitions involving money, such as gambling or treasure hunting. Okay, so anyhow, don't believe me, here's the link. This was a post I put on Facebook. And here's from another excerpt. And believe it or not, if you're wondering who Corona is, or Saint Corona, she is the patron saint of all pandemics. Okay, people? So you can Google this stuff. There's nothing new under the sun. Corona is a sun term. That's why you have Sun newspapers, Sun Life Insurance. It's all this stuff, people. It's all paganism. So I'm just going to read this off to you quickly again. A couple of my words with hers, but basically, you know, these storytellers are good. So share the snot out of this post. It's all fiction, people. A figment of imagination. Your eyes. The odds of that. Go figure. So spread this with everybody before Wiki takes it down. So question everything, people. And peace, and know that I love you all. So while he was suffering from these tortures, now we're in the Wikipedia, and while he was suffering from these tortures, the 16-year-old spouse of one of his brothers in arms, named Corona, comforted and encouraged him. For this, she was arrested and interrogated. Isn't this the day and age we live in now? You give somebody an apple, or you try to feed the homeless, and now they're saying, well, that's not government approved, and we're going to arrest you, right? So anyhow, so according to the Passio of Corona, which is considered largely fictional, Corona was bound to 2 bent palm trees and torn apart as the trunks were released. So they persecuted her to death. Corona is especially venerated in Austria and eastern Bavaria. So she is invoked in connection with superstitions involving money, such as gambling or treasure hunting. Okay? So they want your money, people. They want your life's energy, and all while using fear to get it. So what a coincidence, blah, blah, blah. So anyhow, Google the Wikipedia, and you'll also find other sites that are related where they say that she's Saint Corona and her remains are in northern Italy. Where is all this nonsense stem from? It stems from China, and then Italy was hardest hit. So everything these people do, it's all off a parable. You able to speak at par? Do you know your ABCs? Because QRST spells Christ, right? But it's a go spell. And what is a spell? It equals a curse. It's a fiction, right? And they call it sentence structure. And what would they give you in jail? A death sentence, for God's sakes. Okay, people? And you were told not to curse and to answer and swear, okay? So it's all a fiction, and basically, yeah, and Saint Corona exists, and she is the patron saint of all pandemics. So I'm just going to leave it at that. You know, I just wanted to share this stuff with you, because all these people, they're running around, and again, I'm no medical expert, but even say the President of the United States or Justine Trudeau here in Canada, like, are these people experts? And look at the term, expert. So they're not proper, they're not proper, they're experts in something. It's almost like dealing with a brokerage, right? You have broke and rage. So with the stock markets collapsing and the Dow Jones and all this stuff collapsing 2,000 points, you're almost coming back to Black Monday, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was 1987, where people were jumping out of their windows because they had lost their shares in the stock market, which is called the stock exchange. So you are now about to get exchanged, so you're not going to make sense. We're not talking SENSE here. we're talking, you're no longer going to make CNTS, and all these people, they're going to rein in all this fictional money. Then they're going to turn around and they're going to say, well, you know, even our money is toxic. You might catch the coronavirus off our money. So basically now we're going to have to go to a cashless society/system. Usually a system is a term for plumbing, electrical, stuff like that. What usually in general flows through a system? Shit. So anyhow, with that being said, people, back to the stock exchange. People are jumping out the windows. They were committing suicide, the whole 9 yards, and all over what? The Benjamins, money, right? So effectively, people, it's called the stock exchange because you're getting exchanged at your pence. Pence was a British form of currency, to be frank, which the franc was the French form of currency. And where do you find currency? You find the current down by the river, and that's usually why you find most banks down by the river banks. And where does the money flow? Where does the currency flow? Down by the river. So you people can see where I'm going with this. So it's all a spell, people, and that's why it's called a ghost spell. Okay, so I just want to share this with you. A buddy of mine was asking me to do this video and stuff, and so, you know, he's like, usually you have a real interesting spin on things, and keep in mind, people, this spin that I just read to you off the laptop is not my spin. These are not my words. These are words that were taken off Wikipedia. Mind you, I wrote a couple in between. And I gave people the links on my Facebook and the whole 9 yards. So don't you find it odd that there's a coronavirus and it's called COVID-19, and they changed the term from COVID-19 just in case people start Googling Corona, and should they come up with Saint Corona. So it's all a spell, people, to keep you in fear and have you afraid of your shadow. They say don't touch things. What are people about? People are about touching things. I mean, go pull your food out of your garden without touching it. Go deal with somebody without touching them or something that they may need. So the whole thing is a fear-based fiction. And then people are listening to these experts. They're like brokers. You take the R and the S out and you're going to be broke. So right in their own words, and you take the D, the S out of word, and you have war. That's why you take an S and add it to word, and you have sword, and the pen is mightier than the sword. That's why stores are O-pen for a business, because you will use a pen and you will owe with this pen, right? Where would they put you if they wanted to give you a death sentence after you've been cursed with their cursive writing? They would put you in a penitentiary, okay? So stores are O-pen for business. They will put you in a penitentiary, and then at these malls, they call them entrances, entrance. So you've been entranced, people. It's time to come out of the trance, the spell, the nonsense. And keep in mind, people, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't fly flags. I'm not even a member of these governments, so they can't even call me a terrorist, because I'd have to be a member of their government to say this, and then they would consider me a terrorist, and they'd probably tie me up to 2 palm trees. I have the grace of God. The grace of God, people, let me tell you, scares the snot, the living bejeebus out of these people, because they're used to dealing with citizens who are slaves. And again, you look up an old dictionary, an old video of mine, and it was called slave, and right out of the dictionary, again, not my words, their words, and it says a person who is the property of another. Maybe you're a slave to the drink, maybe you're a slave to candy bars like I am, whatever, people, okay? So that's where this term slavery comes in, and this whole thing. All these people are running around going, well, the Constitution this. Honestly, people, your rights come from a piece of paper. Rights come from, the term rights come from right. You would, again, you're back to a pen. You would write something with a pen. And then I would say, you guys can't do this, and you guys can't do that with a pen. And then people say, well, we have a Constitution and a Charter. These are our rights. So your rights come from a piece of paper, honestly, people. People have gotten away from God's laws, which are the law of attraction, the law of compensation, the law of repentance, the gift of free will. These are God's laws, and we have to get back to the garden. And these are unwritten laws. These are not laws of the mind, people. I just want to share this with you. That's another, there's laws to the mind too, right? To a healthy mind and all this stuff. But anyhow, man's laws equal bullshit, right? They use a pen and magically now you can't do this. Now you should be scared of your own shadow. you know, and their money, their fictional money is so dirty that you shouldn't even be using it because it's killing people. I mean, my God, people are running around hoarding toilet paper, for God's sakes, out of all things. They're not hoarding steaks, they're not hoarding chickens and turkeys, they're hoarding friggin' toilet paper. Like, people, this is how bad society has gotten ahead of themselves, and rather than love their neighbor, they want to make sure that they have more than their neighbor, and that's called greed. I'm sure we can all agree to that, right? Agreed, right? So they, even in their words, look at their words, agreed, agreed, right? So we have a fact here, and you take the F out of fact, and we have an act that all these acts or these facts are going on that people can't even share their shit tickets with people. People, things have gotten this out of hand. So anyhow, once again, I'm no expert in nothing, you know, I'm not in control of anything. I just thought I'd share this video with you, and you know, this isn't my spin, people, this is their spin. So even though my buddy said, put your spin on things, I like to research things, okay, people? I don't, just because the government says, hey, you should be leery of the world and leery of your neighbors, come on, people. I'll probably catch 1,000 colds first before I catch this COVID-19. And even then, they don't even have tests. How do they know it's COVID-19? These people are so full of shit and so beside themselves, and it's all fear-based because they want your money at all costs. And for you to make that money, you're using your life's energy to make this money. And then they're using up the St. Corona to conjure up money, and for using gambling, and even gambling. Look at the terms of casino. C-A-S-I-N-O. People, we are not meant to deal with this stuff. You look at a deck of cards, you have kings, queens, right? That's why it's called ban king. You've been banned because they are the queen, the kings and queens. Bang, king, bank are up, take the T out, so they are bankrupt, but you are not up. You see where I'm going with these people? These people are energy vampires, and they're feeding off your life's currency, which is actually your energy. It's not even their fictitious money. And look at their money. They have a pyramid on it, for God's sakes. Like, you want to talk about a pyramid scheme here in the US and all this nonsense, and then they say, in God we trust, because they don't care about the money. They use you to use the money, and they think that they're doing God's work by killing off people who they deem to be slaves, you know. So I just want to share this with you, people. I could go on, and you know, you think you're going to get rich dealing with a broker. Take the R out, you'll wind up broke. You want to deal with a brokerage, right? Broke, rage, right? The people, these are all C terms, this, okay? So, you know, get out of this, oh, well, you're a conspiracy theorist. I'm sorry, people. I'm not a con, I'm not into piracy. I don't fly flags, and who flies flags? Governments do. G over men. G probably stands for the Masons, okay? Masonic, right? So again, you're back to Sun newspaper, all this stuff, right? Sun this, Sun life insurance. They all worship the sun in the sky, which is paganism, for God's sakes, right? And even the old Bible, it's a go spell. You know, they tell you 1 minute the Creator loves you, and the next minute you better knock it out of line or the Creator's going to strike you down. Does this sound like a loving Creator to you? So you're supposed to fear the very essence that has created you. And you know, you atheists at the is, you know, might be saying, oh, well, you know, I was born from my mother. Yeah, but where did those drops of protoplasm come from? And who created this? So 2 drops of protoplasm collide. Next thing you know, out comes a baby. And back to C terms, what does a baby come through? A birth canal. Where is a ship born? In a canal. That's where it's birthed. Okay, people? So get out of these seafaring terms, and remember that actions speak louder than words, silence is golden, and talk is cheap. And all these people, they're all talking, and they're putting you in a spell, which equals a curse. Look up spelling, and then people, for God's sakes, are sending their children to school to learn how to spell. I'm going to tell you something, people. If you grew up in the woods and you never heard of COVID-19 this and Justine Trudeau that, and Donald Rump this and Donald Rump that, would any of their political bullshit mean anything to you? No, because you'd be too busy hunting and foraging for berries and stuff to eat. People, it's time to get back to the Garden of Eden. Get out of the mind, right? That's why they call it thinking. Thin, king. So you're not very fat, you're thin if you're in the world of the mind. You're supposed to have no mind, and when you're at no mind is when you have peace, okay, people? And here's a problem in life. There's a lot of people, they haven't even realized what peace is. They don't even know what peace is, and they're scared of their own shadow, for God's sake. So people, I can't make this stuff up. And again, these are not my terms. These are not my words. I have not the slightest interest. I don't even really like doing any videos anymore because people just don't care. I put out videos and it's like, oh, well, thanks for waking me up. And then people say, well, I can't do anything about it. People, you don't like what Donald Trump is saying. You don't like any of these politicians. These are the CEOs, chief executive officers of the country. That's why they're called presidents, to be exact. Who would run your company? A president of the company. So, I mean, people, wake up. Smell the coffee here, literally, okay? So these people are running around and they're telling you all this nonsense, and people are listening, and meanwhile they're operating in debt. That's why you take the I out of debit and you have debt. So you think you're running around with money, and they're debt notes, for God's sake. So the $5 in your pocket is actually worth -10 to the bank tomorrow in interest, which is usury, for God's sakes. And what was one thing we were never supposed to do was get into the world of usury and using our fellow neighbors. We're supposed to put together a community, and that's how things would go. Oh, you need some chickens, you need some eggs, I have some. Oh, I need this, Buddy has grown some corn, he grows a field of corn, I have chickens. Buddy has medicinal herbs. This is the way stuff is meant to go down, people. And another story about communities. In fact, somebody was telling me just the other day that if people, like, say, stop shopping at Walmart, you don't like Walmart, you just stop shopping there, we'll see how fast Walmart is in business. You don't like Trump, you don't like Biden, you don't like any of these other mindless monkeys, you write a vote of non-confidence because these people are the presidents of your corporation, which is the United States of America. And the USA is traded on the, get this, the stock exchange. So again, you're getting exchanged at your expense, which is a British form of currency, to be frank. People, I can't make this shit up, okay, people? So the whole thing, get out of the spell, come out of Babylon, blah, 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 and come out of the spell. Everybody's running around with their phones and they're acting all phony with their iPhonies, just at P-H-O-N-E, phony, right? Spells phone, phony. Let's get hooked on phonetics here, not stuck on stupid. And and the iPhone has an apple on it with a bite taken out of it, which was the forbidden fruit/tree of knowledge. You weren't supposed to be involved in a tree of knowledge, okay, people? So, I mean, you take the K and the N out of no and you have ow. Or you have O, just add an E, okay, people? So get out of the spell, come out of Babylon, unless ye want to partake in her sins. And, all these people are running to casinos. C is sin and O. There was this food on the shelf the other day in French, boussin, B-R-sin. Just add an E. That's exactly how it's spelled. But, oh, it sounds so, tasty and delectable and delicious because it's boussin. Well, boussin is spelled B-O-U-R-S-I-N. What's S-I-N spelled, people? Sin. So get out of Babylon here. Get out of their fiction. It's all a figment of imagination, and then they go to court and they deal with magi straits. Straight, actually take the S out, trait comes from the term traitor, to be exact, okay, people? So I'm very well versed in all this nonsense, right? And it's all at the end of the day about these people being energy vampires, draining your energy. You're going to war, doing a shit-ass job that you were not meant to do. You don't even like, you're killing yourself to do it. And you take the K out of work and you have war. So again, people, get off the ship, get out of the mine, come back down to planet Earth, get back into the Creator's laws. Even God in the Bible, you spell God backwards, you have dog, probably relation to the Syrian dog star. We're effectively cosmic stardust, and that's why you call your kids young stars, youngsters, young stars, cis stars. And what would you give your youngsters in a class if they were well behaved? You would give them a gold star, for God's sakes. So people, just please, look around, look at the anomalies, look at the words, just add a letter, take a letter out, like belief. Take the F out and you have be-lie. So all these people are running around be-lying in something, believing in something such as coronavirus, And I'll be honest with you, you're going to probably catch a cold. Then they're going to say, oh, well, our money now is contaminating people, and so now you have to use your debit machines. But now you have to use the same debit machine that's touched this bank machine that 1,000 people have touched all the time again. The whole thing, people, be scared of your shadow, hate your neighbor, the whole 9 yards. I better hoard 10 million cases of water and toilet paper, and, you know, before you get your hands on it. People, we're separating ourselves. And back to the story that somebody was telling me. Apparently these women in a U.S. city, a small city apparently, or village or a town, anyhow, they all got together and they decided they didn't like the way things are going, and they all canceled showing up to work, say on a Monday. Well, next thing you know, they all conveniently got their raises and they all got what they wanted. So who has the power? I don't even like power. Who has the grace? You have the grace, people. So stand up. Get out of the shadow of fear. Get out of that shadow and come into the grace that is the light. And don't be blinded by the light that all these people keep throwing on their television sets of, oh my God, you're going to die. And people, I'm telling you now, more people have died from guns, being drunk, drunk drivers, drugs on the street, you know, talking about drugs. You know, the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency, who do you think's running around arresting all these people and then putting all the drugs back out? You can't even get through airport security with a gram of pot or so much as a joint, but yet all this dope is just magically coming in. Anytime the government says something is black or it's white, you say, it's probably a different color here. There seems to be a lot of gray. And even this conspiracist theorist, you know, I don't conspire. I'm not a con. I don't conspire. I am not at sea. I am not a citizen on a fake ship who is told what to do. And I just say, oh, well, if you have to jump off the bridge, I guess I might as well follow the rest of the lemmings and jump off the bridge. People, you were granted with brains. It's a gift. And you live in the present, and you've been presented with these presents, which is a brain, and use it for God's sakes. You know, get out of the spell. The minute the government says, well, you can trust us, the first thing you want to think is, can I trust these people? All you have to do is look at history. Just like people say, oh, well, World War II and wars and stuff, you know, they fought for our freedom. No, they fought for banks because these people are making money off your death, right? And then they call it a funeral. Look at the first 3 letters in funeral. Fun. Does that sound like fun to you, people? And then all these people died for our freedoms. People, if nobody ever picked up guns, nobody ever went to wars, nobody ever picked up arms, there would be no wars. The only time you're supposed to defend yourself is if somebody's actually landing on your soil trying to cause you, your wife, your children some harm. So people, please, stand up, grow a pair, stop being afraid of your shadow. Just because the government says do this and do that, if everybody stopped paying their mortgages tomorrow and everybody just stopped, what are these people going to do? I'll tell you what they're going to do. Nothing. They'll be trying to suck your balls so they can steal more off you in the future because they're just a pile of brokers, right? And even these people who are doing all this looting and stealing, they think that they're smarter than you, and they even put it out plain sight, like the pyramid on the dollar and stuff like that. You know, and people don't even want to look at it. They're so busy, oh, I just hate my life and I want to go home and watch my television. Again, you know, television can be a good thing, a bad thing, but again, it's how you use it, it's your perspective, okay? So when you ask 30 questions and you wind up having 100 more questions on top, so now you got $1.30 and some change, well, obviously, if you have more questions than you have answers, chances are things are not right. They're not all right, people, okay? So I just want to espouse this nonsense with you. I only do these videos because I love you. At one point I stopped because like my buddy's even like, why are you helping the slaves? The slaves are so stupid. They'll screw each other for a roll of toilet paper, man. They'll beat each other over their heads with each other on a Black Friday. Like, why are these things called Black Friday? Again, it's all sun worship, people. Warship. W-O-R spells war in my world, not W-A-R, right? That's war, right? I'm hooked on phonetics, not stuck on stupid, right? So anyhow, get out of the spell, come out of Babylon unless you want to partake in her sins, and you can make change. Be the change that you want to see. You don't like Trump, you don't like Biden, you don't like all these people, you write a vote of non-confidence, okay, people? Just that simple. And then you'll see who has the grace, right? You know, these corp or rations, corp or rations, right? Add an S to it and you have corpse, right? And then everybody joins the military corps, add an E and you have corpse. Like people, killing is a huge industry, and look at the words, indust and try. They might call that industrial,